Hi, thanks for joining me. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about a phrase that I've heard a lot, and it's one that I never really thought about until recently because it is one that I actually really agree with when it comes to certain situations. So, you hear people saying, pick your battles or choose your battles. And I think that's wise because, when we really look at different situations in our life, right? Sometimes we have situations that we have maybe escalated when the wiser thing in the long run would have been maybe to take a step back for the good of yourself and the other person and the health of the friendship or the relationship or whatever it is, the interaction. Healthy interactions are important to cultivate. And I think this is one of those things that can cultivate a healthier relationship, right? So I think with something like I recently had a situation where I realized later on that I probably should have not escalated a situation. Basically, I should have shut my mouth and been quiet about something because you have to choose your battles. Because you know it is important to understand your values and to stand up for yourself and things that like you feel strongly about. But there's a way of um, not escalating certain situations when you know somewhere inside that like if I don't speak up about this particular thing, nothing is really going to happen. I can get over it. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be a bigger deal than it is. And I went through a situation, kind of still going through a situation where I think it's related in a way to my Pluto squaring my moon right now, but a situation where I know that this other person is someone who doesn't take conflict well and doesn't handle negativity well or handle anything that they perceive as negative or accusatory in any way, or they might take, they don't tolerate that well. So they might take certain things that someone says and think that that person is like really accusing them, and then that will get them to kind of go down, like be down on themselves for that, and they kind of beat themselves up for it. And because I was aware of that about this person, I should have picked my battle and not spoken up. Basically, I shouldn't have picked that battle. Right? There's certain things that we should stand up about, but I think when it comes to certain situations with certain people, there's no point kind of poking the bear all the time, right? And I've learned the hard way several times. And I think it's just something that I wanted to document a little bit because I think it's like a reminder for myself, and also maybe somebody else will get something out of it. Like, I think it's important to understand that like there are people who think differently from the way you think, and they might have a reaction that you wouldn't have to something, and they might take certain things really badly that you wouldn't take badly, or something like that. Or even if you feel strongly about something, sometimes it is good to not poke the bear, and not escalate it if you know that it's actually not that important. Like, I can live without calling this person out for this thing, right? Because that can just cause chaos and it can cause upset. And is it really worth it? You have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth it, them saying things very negatively about themselves as a result of this situation, them feeling guilty, beating themselves up over it because you said something about them? Is it worth risking the relationship or the interactions? Is it worth risking the health of the relationship or the interactions, right? I think it's important to kind of shift your mindset and actually think about these things. So you you might have the impulse or the instinct to just speak up about anything and everything or react to anything and everything. But what if you take a step back and step aside almost and just find another way of dealing with it that doesn't involve upsetting the other person by bringing up this issue that you can live without um, calling them out. So you don't have to tell them. You can live without calling them out for this, right? And yes, I actually do think that, it is important to speak your mind, and, to a certain degree. And, that can actually aid the health of the relationship or the friendship or the interactions, right? But I think pick your battles is a good wisdom piece, because you don't have to speak up about everything, right? I think it's just about, like, is it worth it? Do I feel like it's worth it? If I can intuitively tell that what kind of reaction the other person might have, or based on past experience, I know how they might feel, how I might feel then as a result as well. So then, based on those things, you can think, well, is this worth it? Maybe I can just keep my mouth shut this time and see what that brings. So maybe there's another way that I can deal with this. Maybe I can write about it. Right, I've been thinking about that lately, that I should really get back into my laptop journals that I have, because I don't write with my hand that much anymore. My hand gets too tired, so I just use a laptop journal now mostly, and it's just easier for me. So I've been thinking that I should kind of write out my thoughts more again, especially when I have these kinds of situations, to kind of get it out without involving the other person. And sometimes it is important to involve other people, but like I say, pick your battle. So if I feel that this battle isn't worth it, then I still need to, like, deal with it and process it in my own way, if I'm not going to be talking to them about it. So maybe if I write about it, or if I just get into a mindset where I realize that, well, they're their own person, so they might be more sensitive about this thing than I am. So I need to maybe take that into account and see, is there another way that I can deal with it that doesn't involve me upsetting that person? Because you have to think, well, I personally like to think about, like, other people as well, like what their experiences are. So if I know that this person is prone to certain sensitivities with in this kind of area, this topic that I wanted to talk about, if I already know that they might be sensitive about this topic, well, maybe then it's better to just deal with it in my own way, even if they did something that I think is wrong. There are certain ways that I can talk about it. So I could have approached it in a different way, or I couldn't, or I might not approach it at all in that way. Like, do you see what I'm saying? So I can either approach it in a different way by not talking about it and approaching it in my own way, or I can approach it by talking to the person, but in a different way, not in an accusatory way, not in like this escalating way where everybody gets heightened, emotionally hyped up and heightened. And that's what causes the conflict, and that's where people stop using logic. They stop seeing things clearly, because they're just so hung up on this kind of like there's maybe this one point that they want to make, and they make it in this, like, an emotional way. Arguments, like when people try to make this point, and they kind of miss all the other nuances in the other points, or you miss all the other nuances in the other points, because you're just focusing on this one thing that you're trying to get out. But there's other factors, so it's like you lose the sense of logic in arguments sometimes. And so I think pick your battles is a good wisdom piece that I would like to keep using in my own life. And if you found this helpful, hopefully you can use this kind of wisdom piece too. Choose your battles. Think about, is it worth it? How might this affect me? How might this affect the other person? Maybe I can do without bringing this up. Maybe I can do without that if I feel that it's not worth it, right? I don't have to just get it out just for my own selfish needs, because maybe it's not worth it. So if you got something out of this, please do leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more content from me, and leave a comment if you have any thoughts about this. So thank you for watching.